Hello, my name is Sarah Winifred Searle. You might know me online as Swincy. I've been meaning to do some video type things for a while, so I figured today I would try it out, see how it goes. I'm currently working on inking this comic for, it was originally commissioned by a French magazine, but it will also be going up in English on filthyfigments.com in a couple weeks. So, yeah, I'm working on inking it now. It's a 12-page comic. This is one of the panels from when it starts to warm up a little bit. Yeah, I just thought I would work on this and record it. And I know that when I started using an iPad, I was feeling a little bit lost because I don't usually jump into new technology quickly. I've been using the same old 13 HD Cintiq for years now. And even then, I was using the same software that I've used with my older tablets and such, so jumping into the iPad was a pretty big change for me. But I'm finding that it's pretty great. Like, I'm working at my desk right now, but something that feels really great on my back is after a long day on my Cintiq at my desk, I can take this over to the couch, work on some inks, do some sketching while I hang out with my partner and the cats and stretch out my back on the recliner and just, yeah, it's pretty sweet. My neighbor here, I live in Perth, Western Australia, and something cool about living here is the birds are a lot chattier. I'm from Maine, and I've grown up in areas with healthy bird populations, but they're definitely a lot louder here, which isn't very exciting in the morning, but it makes for a nice white noise during the day. Usually I listen to music or watch shows in the background, but for this I figured I'd keep it quieter. And our neighbors here, they have chickens, and they just, sometimes they'll go for weeks and weeks at a time without making a noise, and then for a couple days they'll just like scream all day for some reason. I don't know what's up with that, but yeah, it's pretty funny. They're a little quiet today, but yesterday, maybe because it was a bit warmer out, they were just having a big old party. This is pretty funny. So yeah, while I ink, I'm pretty slow with inks. It's my least favorite step generally. I'm trying to find ways to enjoy it more, which is one of the reasons that moving to an iPad for inking has been such a great thing for my workflow. And we're back, working through some technical difficulties. Don't have much of a setup for video and such. I'm just doing this on my phone, but I'm constantly running out of room because I have to keep adding new music and taking a million photos of things like flowers and cats and puppies, and then I have no space to do work things. Oops. So the tool that I'm using here, as you can see, this little icon, I'll move this up a bit. So there are two different kinds of layers that you can make in Clip Studio. I'm using vector layers, which essentially means like you can still use your favorite brushes and stuff. It doesn't kill line quality, like for example the vector tool in like Illustrator. I've tried drawing in there and it just doesn't work for me. But this way, for example, I'm going to do this and I'm like, okay, I like how that curve turned out. I don't want to have to redraw the line just because it intersected. You can go to this eraser. There are different settings. So like here you just erase little bits like a regular eraser, but here it erases the line up until where it intersects with another line. So I can go like whoop, and it erases it perfectly cleanly up to where it meets the other line. So that's a super handy thing. And essentially what Clip Studio does is it saves your drawing as a bunch of vector coordinates like any other vector thing, just it applies the stylized stroke from your favorite brush instead of something more boring and lifeless. And then you can actually go in and edit. So there's this tool up here, and if you click on something, it actually goes into your line and the coordinates that it saved for that line, and you can go in and manipulate it. And I don't use this too often because my lines are often, they have too many points for it to really make sense for me to go in and manipulate them this way. But it's really handy, especially if you just like got a little tiny kink in something that you want to clean up. So that's another great thing. My friend Nikki Smith has been talking about how great these tools are for ages, and I just haven't really listened, I guess. I get really intimidated by new technology, and I guess I had to wait until I was ready to really try something new. But I finally did, and I'm so glad. I'm actually planning on drawing my entire next graphic novel this way. Because I really like my tools that I've been using until now, but the iPad just gives me a lot more freedom. So I think I'm gonna, like, this is kind of a practice round. It's nice to have short comic projects because then I can test out new tools and techniques that I might want to apply to my graphic novels. So this is like my test Clip Studio on iPad comic, and as long as nothing goes horribly wrong, I'll feel like I've got a good handle on things, and I can do the line art for my next graphic novel, which is The Greatest Thing for First Second. And I can just do that this way, and hopefully inking will be a little less painful. I know some of my friends, they really love inking and they find it enjoyable, or at least fast, but I get pretty bogged down, and I tend to tense up a lot in my arm, which isn't great for just my general health stuff. It might not make a big difference when drawing just like a couple panels, but when you draw all day, every day, it really adds up, and it really can make things sore. Something I'd really like to do is get better at drawing like voluptuous hair. I feel like I'm getting a little bit better, but could certainly, maybe I need to do like fancy hair boot camp. Really get that. Some people are just so good at drawing amazing volume and stuff. I'd like to get there someday. So yeah, this is pretty much the gist of how I work. I work in a few different layers, so I have like my backgrounds, and I can show you. So I start with super rough sketch. This is like really just to get down the idea of what I want in each panel. Then I do pencils, which are much more polished, and I did them pretty tight in this comic because it's a new tools and all that stuff, and I just wanted to make sure I do everything well. So It's a lot tighter than usual, but it looks pretty good. And then I just reduce opacity. I draw panel outlines on one layer, and then I draw art on other layers. And I use a few different layers at any given point. I tend to overlap things a lot when I draw. I'm amazed by people who can just draw a background around some characters. I really can't do that. I have to draw the whole background and then draw the character into it. So I use different layers so that I can kind of draw on top of things and around things without messing anything up. Oh, she needs glasses. So I'll make a new layer for those. Time warp, the glasses are done. My phone ran out of memory again. Oops. So I guess I should probably wrap this up. This is the gist of how I work in Clip Studio. Something handy that I don't think I clarified, and like this is a super obvious feature to most people, but to me it took me an embarrassing long time to figure it out. But if you like draw something and you're like, oh, oops, you can take 2 fingers and it undoes it. But then if you're like, oh, actually I wanted that, you can just use 3 fingers, go, and it comes back, and it's amazing. I'm pretty much a technology grandpa, and I never really fully explore how new software works, so it's exciting to me, even if it's super obvious to everybody else. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. I don't know how often I'll do these, just because I'm a little self-conscious about my voice and how I talk and all that stuff. Self-consciousness. But, yeah. I don't know if it'll be helpful to anyone or if you just were curious how I draw, but yeah, have a good day, everybody.